Hi, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Michael Yon, and this episode is on knowing a narcissist. Without further ado, here's Kuntarkis.
This is something that my darling Michelle actually sent me. This is a writing, I'm not sure who it was by, but it's called A Narcissist Abuse Recovery. It's becoming aware of what a narcissist really is. And I'm going to give you an example of a narcissist. I won't mention any names because I want to protect the guilty. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, that's a bit funny, but that's what it is. Okay, a narcissist creates complex stories that are complete lies. One day you will see the mask fall. That means you'll see the truth. They will make you feel crazy by denying what you have learnt, which is gaslighting. That's an expression. They may even blame you for doing whatever you are what you are accusing them of doing. Projection, self-projection. Whispers of lies you shouldn't know. Now you are in trouble. They will do anything to protect their lives of lies. Ruining you is a sick, controlling game. They will turn your friends and family against you. Flying monkeys, an expression. By telling them lies about how unstable you are. When you are moving on, they'll pull you back in hovering mode. Don't be fooled. This is not real. That brings us into a subject that I felt is really needed as an episode for our podcast because, Michael, there are millions of narcissists all over planet Earth. Most of them are men, males, but there are females that are narcissists. What a narcissist does, and I'll tell you the reason why they do it. They can't help themselves because they think they are superior. They think they are more knowledgeable, more aware, more cunning, and even stronger. But most narcissists are actually weak. One of the most strangest events that I've experienced recently is this particular narcissist. And it's a story that is really, really sad. And I think it's going to make people understand why certain men in marriages or relationships with children do what they do. This narcissist had a father from a very young age, naturally. No matter what his father tried to teach him, he objected. He would never do it. He would always run to his mother and tell lies about his father, how his father was threatening him and bashing him all the time. The mother would have a go at the father and he would say, I haven't done anything. He's lying. Naturally, being of the same birth month and being a facet of the mother's energy, have a guess who she believes.
Yeah, the child, of course.
The child, of course. It's logical from that perspective. The father became a very, very unhappy man. He had built up a business that he wanted his sons to actually work, all of them, and take over after he passes away. Unfortunately, the amount of stress that his son caused him over the years caused his heart to become saddened and weak. And he died with a massive heart attack long before he should have. Naturally, at the funeral, his son said the most kindest words, how loving his father was and all this type of stuff, and how he's going to miss him and everything. But in the reality of it, he was lying. He hated his father. But his father loved him. He loved him to a point that he couldn't understand why he was the way he was. and the truth eventually revealed itself. This particular man wasn't alone in his thoughts and his spirit energies. He had an energy with him that was literally controlling everything about him. In truth, this man was very weak. In fact, a coward. But when it came to legal matters, he would do anything to get even, no matter what it is, no matter how long it would take, and no matter what he had to do to get the end result of his own satisfaction. He built the business up further, and it had it going quite well. And he was with this lady for a few years, and they had a child together. But the woman became a little bit wiser and started to see the massive problems that were being created by this man, and the lies and the deceit. So she one day said, when the child was only 6 months old, "I want you to leave." Naturally, he tried to cry, carry on, make all the excuses in the world. Please don't do this. I love you. I love our child. I want our child to grow up with a father and a mother and all this type of stuff. He changed his whole attitude very quickly, and that's what they do for a start. In other words, he became cunning. But it didn't work. The lady was strong, and she said, "No, I want you to leave." Let's jump ahead a little. He did. From the age of 2, this child, he began to manipulate that child's energies and that child's thoughts by brainwashing. That's what a narcissist does. He literally hounds someone. And when you hound a person, especially a child, for years and years, you literally change the chemical structure in the brain, because the brain feels fear and it creates different chemicals to try and help the child survive. So through this brainwashing and reverse psychology, this child, over many years, started to see the mother as the problem, or anybody in her life, any man. Eventually, the child caused so many problems to the mother that the mother said the child has to go and live with the father because it was too much emotionally, too much stress. And you couldn't understand why the child was so negative towards the mother when the mother gave it nothing but love, caring, nurturing. But because the child wanted the father to love her and accept her so much, she decided to go and live with him at around about the age of, say, 12 and a half. And she wouldn't see the mother anymore. And if she did, she causes nothing but problems. The father used reverse psychology and manipulation of the child's emotions. And the child thought that the father was being loving towards her, even saying to her, "You have to see your mother. I want you to have a relationship with your mother." But then he sets it up so the child falls and fails and sees the mother as, again, the problem. The traces of a narcissist can be at many different levels. Now, Hitler was sick, but he was also a very evil narcissist that was highly intelligent, but very cunning. And the people he put under him were also sick narcissists who caused such horrendous pain and torture to so many people throughout that war and caused the deaths of hundreds of millions. Now that's an example of a narcissist out of control. I've also spoken to several other people, women, and one man about his wife, the horrible things that she had done and not letting him see the children and lying. She literally changed the levels of their understanding through manipulation of their emotions with reverse psychology. They look up on the internet how to do it. And it's just amazing what they literally send another person to say, this is what you are and this is what you've done. And in reality, it's them that has done all those things. But they will never admit blame. They will always put the blame onto others because they haven't got the ability to face what they have created against others. And it's always them. They're cunning, they're liars, they're cheats, they're murderers, they're rapists, and many, many more things. They will follow you sometimes till the end of the earth to get back at you. Now, you've seen things on Facebook and other media exposures where people have really gone to town about a particular person, and it was a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And they've said all these really, really nasty things. And when you really look into it, 70 to 80% of the times, it's not true. None of it. Not even 1 little percent. The real person is the one that has actually caused the issue to begin with. And they will not admit truth. They will point the blame always at someone else through that type of manipulation. And they are amongst the best liars. It is incredible. And they know how to manipulate other people by acting really sad with their facial expressions, their words. And this particular person actually cries and puts on this great act, how they've been done wrong by and how sad, or they'll even admit that they are all these things and they're so sorry by crying their heads off, male or female. But in truth, in real truth, they are simply lying to get the person that they're lying to on their side. And that's how, in this case, they've manipulated this young teenager into his world of total deceit and made other people the problem in every way. And the child, because they're so easily manipulated, ends up believing it and maybe won't see the truth for 3-10 years down the track. And suddenly the penny drops. And they suddenly realize, oh my God, I've just lost my father. I've just lost my mother because of my father or my mother, what they've actually done to me. I'm a complete liar, and I'm the cause and part of all the deceit of the conspiracy. And this is going on every single day in human evolution, all over planet Earth. Dictators are narcissists. They don't care who they kill. They never have. They have no heart. They have no empathy. Cunningness. Now, you know how you tell a narcissist? They're second dimensional because they don't really have a very high thought consciousness.
Or heart.
Or heart. A third dimensional being that's moving up the ladder without even knowing it and moving towards the fourth dimension in consciousness would never be a narcissist, and they would have heart and truth. When you come from logic thinking and you have so much anger and pain with your emotions, how you grew up, and all this blame that you have against others, your family, your father, your mother, society, whatever. That is the reason why these people cause all this pain. That is the reason why terrorists pass on all their hatred and ugliness to their children so they can grow up just like them, because they don't have the capacity to understand that you've got to learn to forgive and let go. And that's the most easiest way of changing your thought patterns, by forgiveness. When I worked for a company called Sony Australia, I was a sales executive, and it didn't take long. I think in the first month, there was a guy there, and I'm not sure what nationality he was, but I don't think he was German, but he was something like that. And he was a narcissist. I sort of looked at after that and I said, oh my God. And he would do things to sabotage you constantly in your sales to make you look bad. He did that to me all the time. Even when we had, like, say, monthly meetings, he was in because he was the guy that was on the computer entering all the orders, and he literally used to put my orders into backlog, and they were there, but they were never sent out. And all my retailers that were the important ones were ringing up and sometimes going onto the manager and saying, hey, look, I placed an order with Roman, 2-3 months ago, and he says, I still haven't got my order. And it nearly got me the sack one time, until I confronted this guy and demanded in front of the boss for him to tell the truth and show him where my orders were. And the boss said, I've heard other stories about you, he said. You better do what he asks, because you're just about to get sacked. And he literally showed the boss where they were. And they were locked away somewhere on the computer, and they weren't being sent. They were being held up. So I don't know how they did it, but they were being held up for some reason. Stock not available or something, yet it was. He was giving the stock to everybody else. So you'll meet sort of small-minded narcissists, and then you'll meet those ones that are really vindictive physically, and they want to go out to kill you. And you'll meet other ones, like the one I just described, where they haven't got the strength or the courage to actually face you physically, but they'll do it legally, or by a text, or by an email, or just stab you behind your back by telling all these lies. And people end up believing them because they're so convincing. And that's what's really interesting. And what it points out to me, if people listen to people like that, it shows you that maybe they're a bit like that. Maybe they're liars and cheats. So they don't want to be found out. So what they're being told sounds familiar. So they believe them. That's really sad. But what these people don't seem to understand, these narcissists, they don't seem to understand or comprehend the negative actions that they are creating as their negative karma. And it's going to come back like a giant whip, and it's going to whip the absolute rubbish out of them. And they'll be paying back in many negative ways. You can't do things like that and think nothing's going to happen to you. You can't lie to people and never ever think that you won't be found out, because you will.
Isn't it stressful for them to think
Yes.
all this web
Yes.
of lies that they're holding together
Yes.
must be stressful to keep that
Yeah.
together?
Now, the story doesn't end there. This is the interesting part from a spiritual aspect. Before he was born to his mother, there were supposed to be twins, but there wasn't. It never worked out. Only one was born. The other one just disappeared. Probably not long after the woman was pronounced pregnant. And nothing was ever really checked back then. Not as much as it's checked today. The spirit entity that was supposed to take the second body and become like twin brothers is with him even today. And this entity has learned how to manipulate energy from people. And he's been living off this particular person who's a narcissist ever since this person was born. And he has stuck with him. And that's why he has a weaker character, because his energies have always been depleted. He drinks a lot, he smokes a lot, he smokes marijuana. So his level of understanding and thinking is not brilliant. But his vindictiveness is really sick. And that's what a narcissist is. They're sick. And they need help to try and change, I suppose, the chemical structures within their brain to change the level of their thinking, to try and bring some sort of balance back, and also to deal with their negative emotions. So something can be brought back into balance where they can live a normal life and not try constantly to hurt and manipulate people.
So is this an extreme case that there's the twin spirit?
No.
Or is that actually common?
Very common.
Oh, really?
Very common. There are entities in spirit world who have had lives with other beings before, and one is born and the other one latches on because it didn't get to be born, and it wants to literally, only way it can actually stay there is feed off the energies of the life force. And eventually, like this person, they're not actually very well. And, you know, he could probably have a heart attack and pass away in the next 5 years because he's not well. And that's what people don't understand. The picture that we exist within is third dimensional. And we apparently seem to believe that we are a physical person. Most of us would never, ever contemplate that we're made of living energy. I mean, what the hell is living energy? Living energy is living consciousness. It's existed from the dawn of time, from the dawn of moment. It is, and it's within every structure, whether it's planet, whether it's the air, the water, whether it's a flower, a tree, a bush, a rock, whether it's a human, an animal, it's living energy, just all vibrating at different levels of consciousness. Some lower, some higher. In the human species, we still have, as I said, first, second, third dimensional thinking. That's why we have so much conflict on this planet, because probably 32, maybe 37% of humans on this planet are very easily manipulated from someone with authority because they believe in it. There's only one power on this earth, and that's living energy. I consider the second power is individuality. When we become an individual in our thinking, we become the power source in our direction in life. We don't need anyone else. And if we bring someone into our life, be it whoever, we allow it. But we are the power source because we're living energy. And we don't even understand that. And we need to. So it changes our direction in our own evolution. And these narcissists have existed from the dawn of time too. It's emotion. It's all about emotion, Michael. Always has been. And there's some really evil narcissists right throughout human history.
What like do they normally take on similar career progressions, or are they just spread out equally everywhere almost?
Spread out.
Okay.
Spread out. Some actually, and this is the actual truth too, some will try to elevate themselves into positions of power so they can control. And some of them, because they're not as foregoing as others, will just take a little bit of power and really abuse it. Which is sad because you see that all the time. In business, in work, where someone's suddenly got that little bit of power where they might have several people under them, some of them will that person may take a dislike to some of those employees that they are under her or under him, and they'll literally cause them to get the sack. And that's their emotions. Their ego. And even narcissists exist within that. I had a man that came to me a long time ago and told me some really horrifying stories, what his wife used to do and what she used to do to the kids. And he literally went to a lawyer and told the whole story. He wrote it all down secretly at one of his friends' place so she would never find it. And she was always saying, "Where are you? Where have you been? What have you been doing?" She was so controlling. It was just incredible. But she would do some horrible things to him. And I won't even go into it because they might realize who I'm talking about. And he eventually divorced her, but he literally took the kids away from her. And she wanted to kill him. And he literally disappeared somewhere in Australia from wherever he lived. Well, he lived in Queensland originally, but he's gone wherever. And he took the kids with him, and she could not get the kids back. Because the courts believed, because the lawyer was a very good lawyer. And the lawyer believed what he was saying, so it worked in his favour. So it comes at all different stages, these narcissists. But they exist. And what's really sad, Michael, and it hurts my heart, I don't care too much for people like that. I could put them into a big vacuum and just press a button and vaporize the whole lot and wouldn't even think about it. Because when you remove sick energy like that, you give a chance for children, because they're the ones that get hurt, children. And we create those children into narcissists. And they don't even know they're doing it because it's going down the chain line. But when you start to hurt children, you change the destiny of their lives. And that's wrong. In society, we do absolutely nothing about that. Because most departments don't care. It's too much trouble. And that's really sad. But the children are the ones who suffer, and then they grow up and they pass on that same stuff to their children. And that's why we have so many problems within human society. That's why we have so many wars within nations and other nations of misunderstandings. And it's just so ridiculous. We have to grow up. We have to change our thinking. Did you want to ask anything about what I just spoke about?
I mean, does it also, what's it like on some other planets similar to us that also have narcissists in their own way? I don't know why that thought came to mind, but...
I know this is going to sound really egotistical and probably quite ridiculous to a lot of people when they listen to this, especially what I'm about to say. Amongst some of the nations or civilizations that I know beyond Earth, like if I said about the Ilias, for instance, they don't have narcissists. If I talk about Cadiz civilization and the Muhars are so different, even Cadiz race, but the Muhars are so different in their entire framework of understanding. They're like children, but they're grown up, and they're so pleasant and loving towards you when they speak to you. And if you say something to them about how hard something is and how this and that, you start talking about stupid trivialities, they'll look at you and smile, and they say, but it doesn't really matter, does it? It's the past. It's not going to do anything to you unless you keep feeding it. That's what they'll say to you. And it's okay to let it go. And you can be happy. That's how they'll talk to you, which is enlightening if you hear it enough times. And the reason we as humans have stuck to this type of negativity is because we're one of the very, very, very few planets that have had consistent wars and violence. And when we don't have wars, we're warring amongst ourselves. We're too scared to walk in the dark down the street in case we're attacked. Or suddenly a car pulls over, 4 guys get out with bats and belt the crap out of you. And that's happened. Or you're walking down the street and someone just drives a knife through your kidneys. That's happened. Or any type of bashing. And most of these people, they're just walking peacefully. That doesn't happen on the worlds that I have been involved in.
Like, you know, not only you're saying that it doesn't happen, but even in their history, when they were even less evolved maybe than we are now, even then it was hardly happening, was it?
Let me say this to you then. No, you're right. What you just said, yes, that's very true. But what's really interesting, I know I'm talking about my own race, the Nakarons. I've read the entire history of the Nakarons. I sat on this massive screen with the special headgear on, and I have viewed the entire process of their evolution, and I never, ever came across anything where men have gone into, like Nakaron men have gone into a pub, which is no such thing as a pub, never has been, and had a fist fight. Or gone out and chased someone and just to bash them up. That's never happened. Never.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely never in 27 million years of evolution. The Ilias are the same. They are more peaceful even than the Nakarons. Nakarons will go to battle tomorrow if they had to save a planet, especially if that planet is innocent and can't defend themselves. They believe in the protection of life, even if it means destroying an entire world. That's evil.
As opposed to the Ilias?
The Ilias would never go to war. They will protect themselves, but they will never actually go to war. The Muhars will not do that. Cadiz race will not do that. They'll help in the negotiation and supply any form of technology or supply to any world that needs it, but they will not go to war. Where the Nicarons, they have always had a policy, protect the innocent. Never protect the guilty. They're the ones that need to be eliminated. If they cannot negotiate and, say, conform from their violence, they'll be vaporized. Because by vaporizing evil, you give an entire system or a world the opportunity to grow in harmony, tranquility, and balance, which is unconditional love. And you raise your children in the same way, where you're not passing on from one bloody generation to the next violence. Here on earth, that's all we do. We project violence onto our children in some form or fashion, because we don't understand ourselves, because we haven't been taught, our parents haven't been taught, our grandparents haven't been taught. We've always gone to war. 157,000 wars in under 1 million years. That beats the record in probably 40 or 50 different universes.
Wow. Wow. We're so special.
Yeah, we are so special. That's why this is the biggest learning planet in many, many, many universes.
Gee.
And that's also a very dangerous it's a very dangerous thing, Michael, because there are aliens out there that are negative, and they can actually use humanity to their advantage in a negative way, just by supplying a little bit of modern technology.
How could that play out? How could they use us by supplying technology? In what purpose would they use us?
Manipulation in many ways. They could become a home base, right? I mean, there's at least 3 bases upon planet Earth in hidden places, and 2 of them are within the ocean. Even now, on the internet, there's a guy, I can't remember his name, but there's this guy that's bringing out all this information lately that's being supplied to him about a secret base by another type of alien race that's very humanoid, and there's these spaceships coming out of the water all the time, and many, many people around different parts of the world are seeing it. And many also believe, through this guy, the information that's being released, that this alien race is supplying technology, say to America especially, that they produce this base under the water, and they're creating all this technology that we have absolutely no idea. And this technology is going to be for the future. Mm. What they're going to do, that's yet to be decided. But there's so much going on that the public are not aware. And this guy, from what my darling was saying, he's trying to open the truth up, so people become more aware that there is a very strong alien presence on this earth. But to me, anybody that offers technology for, say, war is not friendly.
No.
They have something behind it. Anybody that offers wisdom and understanding and a new way of life, it's a positive thing. I mean, I believe in the future that the Nicarons will come to Earth. And I may even be one of those people, when I go back to my world, that will come back as a convoy. And what we will offer is a new way of life, where all humans are equal. And we will see if humanity will sign a global agreement, is what's in my book, because that is the future, Michael. I'm actually writing the future in a fiction book that's got a very strong touch of reality. And they will then sign a global agreement, a treaty, where the Narcissins will take planet Earth under their wing and protect them also if there is a threat by aggressive aliens. That could happen very big in its possibility in the future. But there's still things that humanity has to learn first. We have to identify why we are the way we are. We have to stop making excuses that we're this great intelligent race. We all know that we're intelligent. But when it comes to spiritual intelligence, we're not. Because if we were, we wouldn't go killing people or animals.
And it's not the first planet that the Narcissins have taken under their wing to help out and evolve positively.
Actually 9 in total.
Oh, I see, 9.
9 in total that they've actually helped over many, many years and helped transform their world from greed, lust, pervertiveness, monetary, everything. They've helped them understand and grow beyond that, and they've made them a thriving existence where everyone is equal and everyone has everything. Now, isn't that a good way of expressing that term?
Absolutely.
Yes. Wouldn't anyone, no matter who we are, want to live in a world where we don't go in a mundane job from 9 to 5 or from 6 till 4 in the morning or whatever it may be, and get up again and do the same thing every single day, where we could get up and not go to work, and then we could go and do work if we choose to, and do a different job every week or every month or every year, depending if we like it or not. And it's helping everyone, and we can just have our furniture, have our cars, have whatever we want, but there's no monetary system. There's no value to worship. But we have everything, and we all work for each other. It's a simple process. This is the most interesting part of the entire thing. It is simple in its own structure. But getting people who are greedy to understand it can be a little difficult, because they don't want to lose what they say they've worked at so hard to get. But if you can give equality to every single human on a planet like Earth, and they suddenly have the house, the cars, nice furniture, nice entertainment, and a luxury life, but also being involved in learning all these different things. And before you even go and do a job, you put on this head device, and in an hour or two, it gives you everything consciously that you need to adapt to that new position within a couple of days. And you go into that job and you do it. And you know exactly what you're doing. I admit, you have to be more consciously aware in evolution to understand the whole principle of the matter. But that's evolution. You have to start somewhere.
Well, the Narcissins would start with our egos, wouldn't they?
Oh, always. Always. Their egos were not like planet Earth. Egos on planet Earth kill people by the thousands every day worldwide. That's not evolution. That's disgusting, actually. And a narcissist also plans people's deaths, how they're going to do it. Even if they don't decide to do it, they still plan it.
Oh, really?
Yes,
That's where they want to put their energies.
that's right. And they'll stare at you if you're talking to them, and they'll stare at you and they're actually thinking what they can do to you to harm you or what they can do to ruin you. It's a subject that it's actually pretty big on the internet from what I gather, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So it's interesting. It's an area where it's growing and it should be decreasing, but it's not. A lot of people end up in court, and a lot of the mothers have no idea that their husbands are actually a narcissist, but the stories they tell fit him into being a narcissist, and it's quite incredible. And the lawyers end up saying your husband's a narcissist.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and then they explain what a narcissist is, because they say, well, what's a narcissist? And they say, oh my God, that's my husband. Oh my God. And they've spent like, say, 5 or 6 years or 10 years or 15 years, even longer. And all the things that this person had been doing, the deceit behind everything is just incredible. The secrecies. So I think you'll find that even though it's different to what we've normally spoken about, I think it's a necessity.
Okay. And what percentage do you think of people, of say males, what percentage of males do you think are narcissists?
I think over 30%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all truth, I'm being really truthful. From what I've seen, the wars, the violence in marriages, I think that, yeah, absolutely, at least 30% of males. And they're in governments. They abuse the positions of power, the privileges. So they're everywhere, and it's very hard to define because they're very good at what they do, Michael. They are excellent at what they do. That's the problem. And they're so easy for them to manipulate people, especially people like themselves. Or maybe even if the person's just, say, a pure liar and a gossiper, a narcissist can literally influence them actually very easy because they're very suave in the way they present themselves, in the way they talk.
Well, this concludes Knowing a Narcissist. Thank you, Kuntarkis, for what you've shared. And if you'd like to share something with us, a question, a query, a suggestion, any kind of feedback, please just send us an email to kuntarkis@gmail.com. Also, you can find out more about Kuntarkis at his website, etcconsciousness.com, including the books he's written. Thanks so much for listening. My name is Michael Yon, and stay tuned for more.